Congratulations! This is the last step of the Adobe Lightroom workflow. Today, let's talk about how to name your files and export them for external use such as online sharing or printing.
When I travel, on average, I take several hundreds of photos every day. Instead of waiting till the end of the trip to organize my photos, I typically go through my workflow at the end of each day when I still have the fresh memory. Assume these are the photos I have picked as my favorite in Laguna Shaxa, northern part of Chile, in the Atacama Desert. I like to share them online, such as on my Instagram. But since I shoot RAW, you can see the extension of my file here. My photo files are not in the JPEG format, which is typically the file format accepted by online social media and professional printing labs. Therefore, we have to convert our RAW files into JPEG files through the export process. Before we do that, we will first change our file names. So if it is the first time you use the Lightroom, or if this is the first time you heard file naming system, make sure go to the metadata section, click on file name, this little square button. In the file naming drop-down menu, click the edit. Follow me. This is my step-by-step process of naming my files. I typically will first include a custom text, and then with a space, and then I will add 4-digit year with a dash, plus 2-digit month with a dash, and 2-digit date with another dash, plus a 3-digit sequence. Click insert and done. So here's the custom text. For the first photo, it's taken in Laguna Shaxa. Let me just say Laguna Shaxa Oasis. And the start number is 1. Now you can see the file name is changed to Laguna Shaxa Oasis with the date of the photo plus the 3-digit sequence. There's a quick way to do it, especially if I know that the first 3 pictures are taken in the same place. What I will do is go back to the file name, click on this square button. Still keep the Laguna Shaxa Oasis and leave the start number 1 and click OK. Now, first pictures with our custom text plus the date plus the 3-digit 001, and the second file name is 002 and 003. We just batch changed our file names. Now, the last 2 files, I call it Sunset at Moon Valley. And start number is 1 again. Click OK. All right, let's take a look. Now the file name is changed to Sunset at Moon Valley with the date 001 and 002. Great. So why I use 3-digit in the sequence? Because in the past, when I batch upload files online, some website would put the wrong sequence of my files. Instead of showing Laguna Shaxa 1 and 2, it would jump from 1 to 10, 11, 12, and then back to 2. Just messed up my sequence. These are minor details, but just wanted to let you know that there is a reason behind my file naming system. You can copy this to avoid certain trials and errors, or create your own custom settings that makes most sense to you. Now we already changed our file names. We can select all the files and click on this export button. Okay, here's the export window. On the left, you're going to see the export presets, which I'm going to explain a little bit later. On the right, you'll see the detailed settings. The first step is to tell Lightroom where you want to export the photos to. Typically, I'll choose a folder. So leave the specific folder as is and click on choose. So for this case, I want to export to my desktop. And let me just set up a new folder called Atacama Desert, for example. All right, and choose. For file name, since we already named our files, we don't have to change anything. For video, obviously it's irrelevant. Now, for file settings, image sizing, and the rest of settings, you want to follow the guidelines from the social media. Each social media has its own recommended file size. Ideally, you want to export your photos according to the maximum dimension suggested by the social media in order to achieve the best possible display quality. And social media changes all the time. You may also want to revisit your settings once in a while. Instead, changing your settings every single time when you export photo files, I'd suggest you create a preset for each of your social media. Let's take a look at my Instagram settings. Image format, JPEG, color space, sRGB. It's very important you select this one because it's the smallest color space among all the selections, and this is the color space that any online social media can handle. If by any mistake you choose Adobe RGB, for example, or even Photo RGB by mistake, sometimes you will see different colors after you export the photos to your social media because they cannot handle the larger color space. All right, make sure sRGB is selected. Quality, I typically leave 85. You can select up to 100 if you want, but it wouldn't make that much difference. However, the benefit of choosing a quality level of 85, your exported file size will be much smaller. Sometimes the file size is only half. This has a huge benefit. If you batch upload certain files online, it will save you tons of time. For the image sizing, make sure to select width and height for Instagram, and the width is 1080 and leave height blank. Make sure pixels is selected, and you don't have to change resolution here because the most updated Instagram guideline suggests width should be 1080. It doesn't really matter your photos is landscape or portrait or square. The width is always 1080. In fact, I always crop my images according to the Instagram dimension requirement before exporting the photos. So you don't have to crop your images in your social media app, which potentially will lose image quality. Just a tip. All right, for the next output sharpening, I leave it blank because in our previous episode, I typically already sharpened my image. So I don't need Lightroom to resharpen my image. I just leave it blank. And metadata, choose copyright only unless you want to export your photos to a photo website that wanted to display your photo information such as your aperture, your shutter speed, your ISO, even your focal length, camera information, all these kind of things. Just choose the first one, copyright only, which will generate a smaller file size and make things simple. Watermark, I leave it blank. Well, actually, years ago, I used to add watermark to all my photos. You can edit watermark in this panel, which is self-explanatory. Right now, I don't add watermark, to be honest. I think it's a distraction. And if someone wants to steal your photo, they can always crop out the watermark. All right, for post-processing, I would choose do nothing. Now, let's quickly take a look at my settings for the printing labs. Image format, JPEG, the same color space. Adobe RGB, which I explained, is a larger color space than sRGB, which is also the color space printing lab, especially professional printing labs, can handle. Quality, you can push up to 100, but sometimes I just leave it to 90. Image sizing, leave this resize to fit unchecked. Make sure resolution is 300. The output sharpening, leave it blank for the same reason. Everything else is the same, copyright only, and do nothing. After setting up everything correctly, you need to set up a preset. Now, what you can do is to add, let's say,
we want to create a new preset for the Printing Labs. Printing Labs 2020 and create. Now you see a new export preset under your user presets, and the next time if you want to export your photos to the Printing Labs, just click on the preset instead of having to manually go through each setting one by one. All right, now for this tutorial, I want to export my photos with the Instagram setting. Just wanted to make sure I double check the folder I wanted to export to, and then click on export. Now we come back to the library module and see the progress of the export. When it's done, there's a little alert. Let's go to my hard drive, click on my desktop, click on the Atacama Desert folder. You will see the 5 photos files with the exact photo naming system, the custom text, plus the date, plus the 3-digit sequence. All right, we are done. Well, this is the last milestone of your Adobe Lightroom workflow. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my future episode.